Jr. I am a speaker, author. I have Parkinson's disease, and I am a PD Avenger. If you don't know what that is, head over to uturnparkinsons.org to find out more information on becoming a PD Avenger. But welcome to Coffee with Tim, Conversations of Life and Parkinson's. Well, if you tuned in last week and didn't catch me, it was because I didn't have my computer. That's the long and short of it. I had talked to Apple. They said they could do the repairs on it in a day. Yeah, that took much longer than a day. It's my first complaint I've ever had with Apple doing any work for me. But now computer's back, things are working. I could have maybe made things work last week with my iPad or the desktop or whatever, but by the time I realized I wasn't going to have my laptop, I just wasn't up to it. So we chalked it up to technical problems, and on we go. So 2 weeks ago, we talked to Dr. Mather, had her on and discussed mild cognitive impairment. Appreciate all the comments that you had about that. If you have comments today as we go along, make sure you put them in the comments section, and we'll respond to them as I'm able. And if you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and make sure you follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all those places. Tim Hague Sr. You can go find him. So today, 10 years of Parky, lessons learned from a shaky life. It has been 10 years that I have had Parkinson's disease. It's a little hard to imagine that it was 10 years ago today, not today actually, but 10 years ago, right about now, that I sat in my neurologist's office and heard those fateful words, "You have Parkinson's disease." Well, by that point, I had already figured that out for the most part. If you've read my book, Perseverance, and read a little bit of my story, you know that I was a nurse for 21 years. And I knew that you don't wake up shaky for no good reason on any given morning. My adopted father had Parkinson's, so I was well aware of it. I'd nursed many patients with Parkinson's. So yeah, by the time the diagnosis actually rolled around, I knew what I was pretty much getting into. I'll never forget sitting there in the doctor's office and a couple of things happening. Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Dorothy. Welcome here, guys. Rosemary and Ken, good morning. But sitting there in the doctor's office 10 years ago, you think you're a big, strong guy, and the next thing I know, I'm sitting there crying in front of my wife. And this young whippersnapper of a doctor. And I'm just, I'm crying more because I'm mad than anything, because I didn't want to be right about this diagnosis. I didn't want it to be Parkinson's. I didn't want it to be MS. I didn't want it to be anything. I wanted it simply to go away. But since it wasn't going away and I was being told that, yes, indeed, this was the fact, I was just furious and sit here crying and then go walk out of the doctor's office at long last with him a little dismayed and trying to figure out what in the world we're going to do, how we're going to go forward with this thing. And so it's been a fascinating 10 years from then. A lot of you know my story, the thing that's gone on. And as I came to this discussion this morning, and I put it out there that I was going to talk about it my 10-year anniversary. After I did that, I kind of kicked myself saying, why do you do that? Why do we in the Parkinson's community feel the need to do this? And I can't say that I've really figured that out yet. But we seem to have this fascination, this need to talk to mark our anniversary every year, almost like it's a birthday or an anniversary or something important. And it is important. I just can't quite figure out why we need to do exactly what we do. Quite interesting. I need to turn a few extra things off here, it appears. So I was kind of kicking myself the fact that I had decided to go with this conversation this morning, because I thought, well, I want to be positive. Because I'll be honest with you, I've been on a bit of a tear of recent on the negative side, a little in the melancholy side. If you read the book, Welcome to the YOPD Club, it's a great little book, very positive, very uplifting. I highly recommend it. But the forward I wrote for it, a little more grim, a little more. My point was to try to take a balanced approach to Parkinson's with it and give the whole story. And so that's kind of where I've been for the last little while. So as I approached this discussion this morning, I came to it and I said, well, I don't want to be just negative. I don't want to be kind of blah and woe is me. I don't like living there. You know me, I like to live on the upside of things. But as I walked through what I was going to talk to you about this morning, I thought, well, we've got to approach both sides of the story, right? Because this 10 years has been many things. One thing it's been Dubrovnik. You can see my little shirt. When we travel, which we love to do, I tend to collect T-shirts because they'll hang around for a while and remind me of the great times that we had. I picked this one up when we were in Croatia, so I thought I'd throw that on this morning because that was a super fun trip. And we had just a fantastic time. Croatia is absolutely beautiful. And we went there on our trips post the Amazing Race that you'll recall that Tim Jr. and I won a bunch of trips with the Amazing Race. So we went to Croatia with one of them because it's a long ways away. It's very expensive to get there. And so we let the race pay for it, which was perfect. So, I mean, there's been lots of positive things. We've done more traveling in these past 10 years than I care to talk about because it's mildly embarrassing. But a lot of that traveling has come through speaking, having the opportunity to speak on behalf of Parkinson's literally around the world. And it's given us lots of fun journeys and parts of the world to see that we would have never seen otherwise. But then the counter to that is that this 10 years feels like 50. It just feels long. It sort of feels like COVID. It's like it's there every day, over and over again. Won't go away, won't relent. And when will this ever stop? And this has probably been for me the most difficult part of having Parkinson's. It's not that my tremor is so bad I can deal with the tremor. It's not that the fatigue is so bad. I can mostly deal with the fatigue. But it's the fact that you wake up with Parkinson's. It's the first thing you wake up with. It's the last thing you go to sleep with. And it's just continually always there. There's rarely a time that I feel free from the conscious knowledge of having PD. And I've had people tell me that, especially after getting DBS or starting maybe some particular med that really affects them really well, that they've experienced a time when they feel like they don't have Parkinson's. And I'm like, I'm living for that day because I have never had a day that I didn't feel like that I had Parkinson's disease. So let me just say hello to a few people here. Pat Donahue. Good morning, Betty and Rick. Good morning. Said hello to Diane. Chuck, good morning. Pat says you touched a lot of new people from last week's coffee with Nurse Tim. Well, thank you, Pat. I appreciate that. That's the idea. Hopefully the idea is you come away from these things a little encouraged, and that's why I was hesitant about this conversation this morning, because I don't want to be discouraging. But I do think it's fair to talk about the fact that we all struggle. We all have difficult times. And for me, this last little bit, I think it's COVID related, has been one of the harder times that I've had for quite a while. Certainly not one of my hardest times. Early on in the diagnosis, there were a lot of dark days. But it's brought back that feeling of relentless feeling of Parkinson's, where it just won't stop. And I think it's COVID that's just bringing that back again. So when I first was diagnosed, I was really afraid of lots of things. I thought all kinds of nasty things were going to happen, and that I'd end up in a reality where I couldn't do lots of things, and that this disease would be much, much harder than what it has been, actually. In some ways, it's been very hard. In other ways, it's been not nearly as hard as I had feared it would be. I remain incredibly healthy. I'm just so grateful and amazed at how 10 years in, I am still able to run. Did just a short run the other day, bought a new pair of shoes. Haven't run regularly for probably 2 years. I just kind of got into a funk with running and let it slide to the side. So trying to get my running going again. And if you spend any time with me, you will find out that this is me. I'm one of the world's most notorious inconsistent runners. I will hit high run. 2 years ago, my daughter and I did the hypothermic in February in Manitoba. It was -20 the day we ran. It's a beautiful run. And that's actually what got me going again. She reposted that picture on Facebook last week. And I'm like, why am I not running? Got to get this going again. So I went out, bought a new pair of shoes. And here we go. And it hurts like hell. But I know this. This is what I do. It's up, it's down. It's up, it's down. So if you're like that, we are in good company together. It's just the way I tend to do. But I am in good shape. I will go cycling with my buddies again tomorrow, outdoors here in Manitoba. We'll hit as long as it's not too terribly icy. We've had some warm days and it's created a lot of ice, so I hate ice. But I'm able to do that. I'm able to still go to Rock Steady Boxing, get lots of enjoyment out of that. There's lots of things that I still enjoy in life and are able to do that 10 years ago I didn't think I would be able to. Because the doctor told me, he said, if you're lucky, typically you'll get 10 to 15 good years. 10 to 15 good years. Well, that was alarming to say the least. But here we are at 10 years, and I am doing well. I'm not working. I'm not able to do a number of things that I would like to be doing, but I'm still doing lots of things that I do want to do. And that's the encouragement that I take away from today. Well, what other things have changed in the last 10 years? Well, one thing that hasn't changed is I still hate PD. Barris Richardson, hello, good morning. Hi from Ralph. Hi, Barris, Greg, Cold Riverview, New Brunswick. Well, it's not so bad here in Manitoba this morning. It's plus, I think it's +1, it's +2 in Winnipeg this morning. Heat wave. But nonetheless, like I was saying, I still hate Parkinson's. If you read my book, Perseverance, you'll know that I've always called it my new best friend or my best friend whom I hate. I've learned that we have to keep Parkinson's close. It never leaves me alone, but I never leave it alone either. We have to continually be aware of what our bodies are doing, how things are progressing or not, and what we need to be doing to take care of ourselves and to live well with the disease. And so my relationship with Parkinson's continues to be a very mixed one. I mean, it brought me the Amazing Race Canada. I'm so very grateful for that. It brought me a speaking career. It has brought me a book. It has brought me good friends literally all over the world. But I still hate it with a passion. It's just so frustrating. I've learned over 10 years that there's no reason why we can't fix this thing. From a scientific standpoint, it is an annoyance to me. And when we look at what we've done in the last year with COVID, all of the vaccines, all of the variety of vaccines that we keep coming out with to treat COVID, nobody thought that was possible 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. If you had said that we'd have a worldwide pandemic that we had to come up with vaccines for in under a year and inoculate the world, people would have just shaken their head, looked at you like you were crazy. Thomas, hello. Welcome here. Yes, you have made the live show. Welcome, Ellen, Eileen. Welcome, Neil, my buddy Neil, all the way back from high school. How are you, old man? I think I'm older than you. The way I'm talking here this morning. All right, I got distracted by my side notes there. What was? Oh yeah, COVID. It just annoys me to no end. If we would actually put some money into this thing called Parkinson's, if we'd actually put some effort into it, I have no doubt that in short order we could come up with something that would mitigate a lot of our symptoms, a lot of the things that are wrong with us. But it's a complicated disease. And for so long, we have ignored it. For so long, we've treated it like an old man's disease. For so long, it's just been, well, when you get old, you get shaky. When you get old, you drool. When you get old, you're hunched over and you shuffle. Well, that's not true. That's a freaking disease that causes that. And by the way, I'm not old. Neither are you, Neil. And Neil responded with still old. Lots of laughs. But no, neither one of us are old. 56 years old is not old. And there's no reason for me to be stooped over, shaking, and all the other things that come with Parkinson's disease. There's no reason in the world why we haven't done more to create higher levels of urgency on behalf of our government, our pharmaceuticals, and science in general to do something about this thing. And that's why I helped found the PD Avengers, because there's something more that can be done. We have to raise the urgency to actually try to treat this thing called Parkinson's disease. If there's any one thing that I've seen and learned over 10 years, it's that we are not spending near the money that should be spent on this disease. We're not spending near the time and effort on this disease that should be spent. Because remember, folks, in the past 10 years, Parkinson's has become the fastest growing neurological disease in the world. In the world, it has outstripped Alzheimer's, ALS, MS, stroke, anything that goes on with the brain, Parkinson's is worse. We have doubled in the last 25 years. It is set to double again by the year 2040. And I keep saying there is a tsunami of Parkinson's coming, and it is coming for somebody we love. And I'm smiling simply because Sydney Pratt Donahue says, Tim, you're just a baby. Well, Sydney, I thought we were about the same age, so you'll have to share sometime how much of a baby I am to you. Thomas says, I'm 62, box 3 times a week, rock steady, ride 3 times a week, pedaling for PD, and yoga every day, not old. Amen, brother. Way to go. That is exactly the kind of encouragement we need to hear. So, nonetheless, talking about COVID and cures. And so that said, I want to balance that statement with the fact that we have been promised cures in the past with specific time frames. If you've been around in this disease long enough, you know that there's been very famous folks who have made very, very pointed, specific promises, or maybe not promises, but statements of when we would deal with this thing, and it's not come true. And it's because we've learned that this is a very difficult disease. It's very hard to treat. We all look very different. If there's 10 of us in a room, every one of us would look different with our Parkinson's, and it's probably because we each have a different form of Parkinson's. Think of it like cancer. You don't treat pancreatic cancer the same way as you treat breast cancer, the same way that you treat bowel cancer, the same way that you treat brain cancer. It's all cancer, yes, but there are different forms of the cancer. And that's likely what we're facing with Parkinson's, something like that. It's all Parkinson's, but there's different types of it. So we have to be very specific in what and how we treat it. Now, Eileen's asking, what's causing Parkinson's? Well, we know one thing for sure, is that chemicals cause Parkinson's. Chemicals like paraquat, which is still allowed. It is a pesticide that is used in farming, that is still used across the United States and Canada. It has just been renewed in the States. And I want to encourage you to go to endingpd.org and sign up for their red letter campaign, because they're sending in red letters to Washington, to the president, to tell him to ban paraquat, because we know that it causes Parkinson's disease. Why are we still using this crap in our environment? Why are we still putting this stuff on our food when we know that it causes this? There's paraquat and at least 2 other chemicals that we know that cause Parkinson's, along with it being genetic and other things that we probably don't know yet. But we do know that chemicals cause this. We have to do something about that kind of thing. So when it comes to cures, when it comes to treatments, I think we have to be very cautious, because disappointment is something that is far too easily served, and hope is a candle that is far too easily snuffed out. And it's very easy to get excited about treatments, about cures, when we just simply don't see them very often. Humanity has not cured much. We have not gotten rid of much. We do show that we're pretty smart. We come up with vaccines and we come up with a few things here and there, but we don't come up with lots. So I often hear nowadays that, I've heard several times of recent that in the next 10 years, there's going to be treatments to stop Parkinson's in its tracks. Well, I hope that's right. But in 10 years, I'm 66. If Parkinson's stopped where it was at in my life right now, and it didn't progress, didn't get better, didn't get worse, I suppose I would be all right. I don't want it to get worse. I wouldn't be thrilled at staying like this forever. But the fact is, 10 years from now, I'm going to be how much worse with my Parkinson's. And just because I stop right there, it doesn't mean a whole lot to me. I hope you understand what I'm saying. It just doesn't move me tons to say at 66, we're going to halt your Parkinson's where it's at. That's probably still not going to be terribly great. What I would far rather us do is turn all of us into athletes. What I'd far rather spend our time on is seeing you doing what Thomas is doing. But Thomas, right, at 62, cycling 3 times a week, being in Rock City, boxing 3 times a week, doing the things that we know that we need to do to take care of our bodies, and promoting wellness. And now this is my thing, and it's not everybody's thing, and not everybody's going to do exactly the way I do, because we still need to raise money for research. It's imperative that we see more money invested in research. It's imperative that we do more for research, But for those of us living a life today with Parkinson's, it is important that we live our best today, and that focus should be on wellness. That when it comes down to what happens for me, it's got to be me personally wellness. Because if I'm not well, if I'm not healthy, then I'm not going to be good for anybody, for anything. The old adage that if you don't have your health, you don't have anything is so very true. How am I any good for research? How am I any good for advocacy? How am I any good for anything if I don't stay active in the way that I know that I need to stay active? And that comes down to all the aspects of wellness, our physical activity, how we spend our days every day, what we put into our lives, how we handle our intellectual health, our emotional health, our spiritual and social health. We have got to have a holistic approach to taking care of ourselves day in and day out. And that is why, as you know, I started U-Turn Parkinson's. And I'd encourage you to head over to uturnparkinsons.org if you need advice and help and exercise programs on how to get started. There's lots of things there that can help you out and get you going. So 10 years in, what do we need to be doing? Boy, I've got so many things flying through my head. I feel like I'm all over the place with this morning, but I just got so many different thoughts on this that and wanting it to be more positive than not positive. What do you need? What do you need? When it comes right down to it, I believe that there is a very important question to be asked. And let me put it to you like this. I'm going to read it for you so that I actually get it right. The number one lesson that I've learned over the past 10 years is that it's all about me. Contrary to what Mom taught us, this very self-centered conversation is truly all about me. Now, let me clarify what I mean when I say it's all about me. When I say me, I really mean we. And when I say we, I really mean us. And when I say us, I really mean you. It's all about you. Because what do you need to live your best with Parkinson's? It's not about the next breakthrough. It's not about the next cure. It's not about the next scientific marvel, but rather it's about what we need to live our best with this disease today. So I want to ask you, each time that we're presented with something new, each time that somebody puts something out that says this is a new breakthrough, a new big thing, I think the question we need to ask is, what's in it for me? What's in it that's going to change my life today? Because I'm alive living with this thing right now. Why is it so important if it's not changing my life today? So when something comes along, I think we need to ask that question. And then I want to ask you the question, if I was a genie and I could provide you anything that you needed, what is the one thing that you would ask for today that would change your life with Parkinson's? Other than just being able to wipe it away and turn you into a 20-year-old again. What's the one thing at 56 I could do for you that would change your life with Parkinson's? I think those are the types of things that we need to be focusing on. Those are the types of things that we should be looking at to help us live better today. All right, enough of the rant. I feel like I'm ranting. So lots of comments, lots of things, lots of good comments here. Diane says, I'm doing as much as I can so that I can be in the best shape when we actually get this disease under control. Amen to that. I have thought and said that so many times that if we don't take care of ourselves, what do we look like if a cure ever did come? If I was a tottering old man because I refused to look after myself, refused to look after my body, well, what difference does it matter that I don't have Parkinson's anymore? I still can't do anything of value. I've let my body run down. Eileen says I was 62 and diagnosed. Felt very alone during my investigation of PD. Then the lockdown hurt. So the lockdown just hurts so much, doesn't it? And Mary has a good comment replying to Eileen. Stay in touch with other people with Parkinson's. We're a great group of people. We are some of the most positive people I've ever met in my life. It's absolutely amazing to me what a positive group of people this group of people with Parkinson's is. Meds are a nightmare. They can be. They can be a very big nightmare. Agonists and whatnot can be a very difficult road to travel. So be careful with those. Make sure you're talking to your doc lots and finding out what you really need to be on. But I have nattered along here lots this morning already. I think I'm going to wrap this up. 10 years has brought so many things, far more good than it has bad. It's brought me the Amazing Race Canada, and I had a whole list of things I was going to walk through here, and I thought nobody wants to hear a timeline of my life. But it certainly brought the Amazing Race Canada, all because of Parkinson's. Out of the Amazing Race Canada came the opportunity to travel like crazy, which has been so much fun. It's given me it's turned me into an activist, as Parkinson's has many of you. It's allowed me to speak on behalf of Parkinson's around the world. It's allowed me to do so many fun things, including starting U-Turn Parkinson's over there and helping people in my local community live better with this disease. And I am so very grateful for all that it has done for me. Is there much more that I would like to have happen in the positive realm to ease this, to stop this constant rattling around? You bet. Would I like my meds to work a little bit better? You bet. There's lots that I would like to see still happen. But that's why I do U-Turn Parkinson's. That's why I still speak. That's why I'm a part of PD Avengers. And that's why I encourage you to join us at PD Avengers and at U-Turn and the various things that I'm involved in to help us stand up, to have a voice, and to make things happen for the Parkinson's community. So as you go about your week this week, find out where you can be involved. If you're already involved, good on you. Stay at it. Live your best in it. And take care of yourselves. So until next week, thank you everybody who's tuned in today. Thank you for all your comments. I appreciate it. I'll take the opportunity to answer as many of them as I can after. And yeah, thanks for saying hi. So until next week, hug those you love. Hold on a second here. Got to say it right. Have a great weekend. Hug those you love and live your best. Persevere, because you know that this race, your race, can be won as well. So yeah, Eileen, hit the yoga. Excellent. Do what you need to do to take care of yourselves, folks. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.